Every worker has the right to a world of work free from violence and harassment, said the International Labour Conference in June 2019, leading to the adoption of the Violence and Harassment Convention number 190, also referred to as ILO C190. The convention puts special emphasis on gender-based violence and sexual harassment. But what is gender-based violence and sexual harassment?
Gender-based violence, or GBV, refers to any form of violence directed against a person because of their gender or sex. GBV involves the abuse of power, and it is perpetrated by those who have more power. For example, men over women, or supervisors over workers. Violence can be physical, like beating, sexual, like raping, mental, like insulting, or economic, like losing one's job.
Often, women and members of the LGBTQIA+ community face GBV because of gender inequality. Globally, about 1 in 3 women have experienced GBV once in their lifetime. In South Asia, the figure is much higher than the global average. It is estimated that in the Asia Pacific, as many as 75% of women have experienced sexual harassment, which is one form of GBV.
Sexual harassment could be physical contact, like brushing against someone or touching, a comment, maybe on your body or your clothes, a WhatsApp message, or even simply staring. What makes an action sexual harassment is how the woman subjected to it feels. If the woman feels pressurized, feels that she has no say in the action, or that she cannot say no, that action would amount to sexual harassment. Any sexual conduct that is unwelcome is sexual harassment. The key to understanding which sexual conduct is harassment and which is not is consent. There may be situations, say at the workplace, where 2 people are in a relationship that is sexual and both have freely consented to it. Will that be sexual harassment? The answer is no. Sometimes, some relationships may be stigmatized by society, like same-sex relationships or relationships outside of marriage. However, as long as the woman has freely consented to it, it is not sexual harassment. As we said, the key is consent. But what if consent is given because of the fear of losing one's job? In such situations, the consent needs to be questioned. Consider this scenario. A woman worker on a shop floor who did not want the sexual advances made by a man in a position of authority, such as a supervisor, was unable to say no, or may even have said yes out of fear of losing her job. Will that be called sexual harassment? Yes, this is an act of sexual harassment. Because the supervisor abused his power to coerce the woman worker who did not want to engage in the sexual act to do so. No action of a woman can be used against her. Power dynamics play a crucial role when it comes to cases of sexual harassment and often play out negatively for the victim.
Gender-based violence and sexual harassment, also referred to as GBVH, is a serious violation of human rights and cannot be tolerated anywhere and under any circumstances. It does not matter if the perpetrator did not intend to harm the victim. It simply cannot be tolerated. Even trade union spaces are not left untouched by this menace. Industrial pledges that there can be no gender-based violence and harassment, not in our workplace, not in our union.
So what does ILO C190 do? C190 aims to eliminate all such forms of violence and harassment in the world of work, whether it's on the shop floor, during the commute to work, where workers rest, eat, or attend to their health and sanitation needs, at social gatherings, or even online. So far, no South Asian country has ratified ILO C190. Although these countries have legal and judicial procedures to address workplace violence and harassment, the rules have glaring gaps and are poorly implemented.
We believe the ratification and implementation of C190 by governments can cover these gaps. So let's together campaign for the ratification of C190. As unions, we have an important role to play. Let's raise awareness about GBVH among our members, support victims of GBVH by creating inclusive structures within unions, develop strong workplace policies to address GBVH through collective bargaining, actively advocate for the ratification and implementation of C190, and build alliances with other trade unions, national centers, NGOs, and especially women's rights groups to help eliminate GBVH.